What's up, Glow? I'm mic'd up. See, they're taping us right now. Catch it. Catch it. I'll give you $100. All right, Jonathan. What? This is the one you fumbled last year, 1-2. There you go. We got to own this route right here. You can get a little bit more. Now, you'll feel it when somebody's on you if you can't, but you can get a little bit more there because we're trying to get this to you catch and go. Harris, at some point, get vertical. I got the GoPro and everything. Good. I go over top of your back shoulder. Get the GoPro. What with the GoPro? I like this at the top. It's like when you're in high school with people and you just do that and they would flinch. That's what it feels like as a receiver. You didn't flinch when I went to hit you. Why not? You're not scared of me? What is your best attribute? Yeah. Huh? Yeah, then after you catch the ball, you're a beast with the ball. Well, you got to practice that. You got to catch, and everything you got to catch and burst. Catch and burst so you get in that habit. Dig. Go off the ball. Dig off the football. Chad, flip your feet. Good call, Jacoby. Right? That's what we did.
All right, everybody. This is breaking news here on All About the Birds. The Philadelphia Eagles have hired their future head coach for next year, Nick Sirianni, the offensive coordinator of the Indianapolis Colts. We're live here to break it down, some instant reactions from Jeff Warner at the bottom. We got Chip Keagy, and I'm Phil Stiefel. We're here to talk real quickly about him. He's a 39-year-old head coach, the offensive coordinator the last 3 years with the Colts under Frank Reich. He's coached in Kansas City, San Diego, a couple little stops in college at the beginning of his career. Jeff, what do you think instant reaction to this hire and this choice from Jeffrey Lurie and company?
I'll say instant reaction is finally it's over. I would say I was tired of hearing new names day in and day out. When the hell are they going to hire someone? So I'm just glad the coaching search is over and we can finally move on from this debacle into the free agency. But I would say at first I wasn't that impressed at first. I would say, like, look, this is a guy that we haven't really heard of, a guy that really hasn't got a lot of coaching search around the league. Apparently, last season or the year before, he did get offered a coaching interview, which he declined because he was more focused about the Colts playoff push one of those years. So that's a good thing that he is focused. But I would say, looking more into him, I would say he brings a lot of potential. I would say the two biggest needs in this Eagles team are on the offensive side of the ball is quarterback and wide receiver, both which he has coached leading up to being offensive coordinator with the Chargers. He also played wide receiver in college. So let's say he has the experience there. And also I'll say being the OC the last 3 seasons in Indianapolis, they were 8th in points in the NFL, 14th in passing yards with 363 yards a game. That's all with 3 different starting quarterbacks over the last 3 seasons. So I would say he has shown that he is able to, whatever he's given, he's able to work with. And I would say he's given a huge credit for the reemergence of Phillip Rivers at his age to play at the high level that he did last season. So I'm going to give the guy a shot. I would say he does bring a few weaknesses that we're not sure about. I would say the one big thing is, can he call plays? I'll say
that is going to be a really key question there, unless they bring in an offensive coordinator that's going to call the plays. So, Chip, what's your instant reaction then on this hiring?
I like the move for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's not McDaniels. I was very, very worried that Josh McDaniels was going to be the head coach of the Eagles after his interview that actually just ended 6 minutes ago that started 2 weeks ago. McDaniels was the wrong guy. We knew, and we discussed this last night, that Deuce probably wasn't going to be the right guy, but he may end up being the guy. I'm okay that Deuce isn't the guy. It's going to be sad to see him leave the organization because I don't see him coming back. What I've seen so far out of Sirianni, and I don't know a whole lot yet, is he seems like he is a teacher. And you are talking about players on our team who, regardless of whether in their first year, their second year, their 7th or 8th year, have fundamental football flaws. You look at coverage skills. We don't have guys that know how to cover press coverage, who don't know how to turn their hips, who don't know how to tackle. We are back at a square one foundational build. And as a coach that can articulate things like that, that's going to be really big. So I like the move. I don't know enough about him yet. I like that we don't we still have Visors as the head coach. That's not going anywhere.
We're gonna learn more about him in the coming days, and when we get to our next show next Wednesday night at 9:15, we'll be able to make more definitive conversation about him. We're just looking at the instant thing. And before, a couple of things you guys said, before that we went live here, I did a quick research here, and he focuses on the positives, not the negatives. There's a tweet from Mike Kay. And that to me, I don't know how I feel about that, because that means you're going to ignore the negatives and the mistakes and just try to, build up the positives. So that kind of scares me. That kind of seems like a player's coach and not someone that's going to hold accountable. But before you say anything, Chip, then I did read another comment from, I forget which reporter it was. I didn't write it down. They said you feel his presence when he enters a room because he commands a room. When he talks, he's super stoic and everything. So there's two different sides of being a player's coach that just pumps up the positives and doesn't hold you accountable, and then there's the player's coach that knows the fine line of being a player's coach but also commanding your attention and respect. And from the quick read up, you could see both of them. And as Jeff said, the lack of play calling, it'll be really curious over the next couple days as we start hearing rumors and actual official information on his coaching staff. Doug Peterson never really called plays before coming here. Frank Reich never called plays before going to the Colts.
And Andy Reid hasn't either. So I'll say
you learn under a really good play caller, and then you want that. Every offensive coordinator wants to be a head coach and wants to call plays. So hopefully he has learned. And Frank Reich, if you guys watched the Colts at all this year,
I'm ready for it. This is Frank Reich himself talking about our new head coach
in 2018 when he hired Nick to be his offense coordinator.
Nick, we worked for three years together in San Diego. It didn't take me long during that tenure there that I thought if I ever had this opportunity, he would be the guy I would want to be my coordinator. He's extremely intelligent. He's very energetic, very passionate about ball. He's a great teacher, very systematic in his thinking, and just the way we see the passing game and the way we think about offensive football, very similar. And very excited about having that we could get Nick out and be here with us.
Yeah, he's a highly respected man, it seems, for a 39-year-old with minimal experience. So that's a positive to an extent to me.
I'll say definitely a positive. I'll say a big reason is this whole off season, it's going to be focused on the quarterback position, and it's going to be interesting. I would say with what he is able to do with his experience with working with different quarterbacks in this league, whether they're going to try to fix Carson Wentz or if they feel he's the guy that can groom Jalen Hurts into
He is being brought in here to fix Carson Wentz. There's no doubt about it.
I agree.
If you look at the Colts this year, okay, he breathed. I'm not saying he needed new life per se or to be fixed, but Phillip Rivers compared to last year with the Chargers was a totally different player this year. Okay. Yep. The wide receivers outside of T.Y. Hilton, who really was kind of a secondary thought in Indy this year. He didn't have that huge T.Y. Hilton season. They had a lot of young wide receivers that stepped up and played really well. They also had a very young and explosive running game in Indy this year. So, the whole thing together there, it's a positive sign for a young team that not just quarterback or wide receiver, the whole offense needs fixed. And if you learned anything in the last few years under Frank Reich, maybe he can help us take a step forward in this organization.
Right. And you're looking at, so I've been following Twitter at this point, watching for the initial reactions. And I've seen players like Lane Johnson, excited. I've seen players like Alex Singleton excited. So there are certain people that are speaking up. Now, at the same time, there are former players like Brian Westbrook's tweet right now is just the word Freddie Mitchell, mistake 2.0 or clown 2. So there's a lot of things being. Emmanuel Acho's tweet is one that stood out to me. He said 49 minutes ago, he's a young coach with no head coaching experience and minimal recognition. He's afraid, and we know that this is actually true because we're a lot closer. I'm afraid the Eagles' new head coach may just be a puppet for management to control.
Yeah, I was trying to stay away from saying that, because not that specific comment, but him being a young, inexperienced guy. That the other quote that I read here was he coaches to players' strengths. which means he's not going to come in with, this is my system, whatever players Howie gives me, I'm going to find their strengths and change my system to fit that. And I didn't want to say that, but you brought it up and kind of forced me to say it.
But the thing is, and you and I, we've had this conversation exactly before. As a middle school coach, I don't just put my offense in and go, this is what we're going to run if I don't have the players to run it. So that's a need. He needs to look at what we have and go, you know what? Maybe we don't have a legitimate, credible deep threat yet. So we don't have an offense that can run 60 yards down the field and we'll just bomb it to him. Also because our quarterback is inaccurate. So we got to figure out, we got to roll the quarterback out. So maybe you have a coach who finally is going to go, all right, this is what I have. Let me put in an offense for that. It's the creativity that Doug lacked. One thing that is in his favor is he's got a great recommendation from Frank Reich, who we understand is he's kind of like Philly lore right now. Everyone loves Frank Reich. Okay, so now we got a Frank Reich guy. You're looking at all these.
Frank Reich I said it last night. That Frank Reich has a coaching tree already.
Yeah, Matt just said in the comments here, and this is something I heard as well. There is rumors because Sirianni worked under Anthony Lynn in San Diego or wherever the Chargers play now. It might come back around that Anthony Lynn comes back as the offensive coordinator, which would be a strong hire.
Definitely, especially because the one criticism, at least while Sirianni has been in Indianapolis about their offense, which again, we don't know if it's Reich or him, is that they lack that explosiveness and that creativity despite having a play weapon with T.Y. Hilton. And another quote that was tweeted out from Jeff McLean from an NFL source familiar with Sirianni's credentials as a head coach, they told him that Sirianni's a good guy, solid candidate, fairly smart, but not super smart. Concern is he's likely the top out as a B-level coach for a team that is in the mix to make the playoffs, but not a real Super Bowl chance. Low drama, even keel, which brings that back to the subject that Phil brought up. Is he the guy that can really take us to the next level? Again, one thing that Johnny brought up in yesterday's show is it's all going to a good coach can succeed when he has great other coaches underneath him and around him, and it's going to be interesting to see how they assemble this coaching staff. Hopefully it's Sirianni and not Howie managing it, but they need to get some strong candidates. It'll be
interesting to see if any of these head coaching candidates, we joked about it, we hypothesized that they're really being brought in to interview for other positions. It'd be interesting to see if Jared Mayo comes on as the defensive coordinator, or some of these other lower level coordinators that we brought on, are brought back as in another capacity.
Well, and speaking of past level or past experiences, Sirianni was also a coach in Kansas City with John Dorsey. So maybe this isn't so much of a Howie move. Maybe this is John Dorsey going, this is the guy. I know him. I've worked with him. This is the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. It's going to be really interesting in the coming days, week and all, to see what they do. I mean, I just saw another tweet put out by Fox the Gambler. Great station over there. 39-year-old first-time head coach, obviously going to obey everything Howie Roseman says.
Everything.
And you're either going to get the people that are saying this is the greatest hire in the world, or the other half of the people are going to say he's just a puppet master. So it's going to take till the season starts for us to see that, which one of the two it is.
I think it's going to take until the season starts. But I think that we're also going to see it when we look at the draft and the kind of players that they're really looking at. Because, again, there's no combine this year. So it's going to be, in my opinion, a little more fluid and evident. Like, okay, these coaches are going to this pro day. These coaches are going to – like, we're going to go see who they're looking at a little bit. We're going to get to start the feel of what kind of player they draft. Does he see a weakness in wide receivers? Sirianni's known to work really well with wide receivers. So does he look at this receiving core as is and go, this is good enough, I can work with this? Or he goes, we need to go get a wide receiver. Or does he go, we need corners? That's our, like I hope, again, I don't know enough about him. Don't know enough about him. None of us do. So for us to make quick snap decisions isn't really fair. I don't want to go full Philadelphia fan base and make a quick decision about him. I got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Another key thing. You're talking about all these people and all the youth and the draft picks and all. It was really key to get this hire done now and his contract signed now, because the Senior Bowl, which is very important for teams that need really important draft classes that are coming up. Senior Bowl's 8 days away. Practice for the Senior Bowl starts in like 5 days. Okay. So it's really important to have this coaching staff, at least the head coach, hired so that we can, be prepared, have a representative, with Howie and Dorsey or whoever else is evaluating this talent, the coach that's actually going to run the offense. It's very important to have him in place for this Senior Bowl.
Right.
Yep.
And the other thing that you have to see is you're starting to see. So now that all except one team have their head coaches, now the news that's breaking is this coach is going as an offensive coordinator. This coach is going as a So now the second level of coaches are going. In those 8 days, if he came in and said, this is my vision for the staff, get as many of these guys as you can, it is very possible that within these 8 days, you have developed the staff and the vision of the team moving forward so you know exactly what you are looking for in that Senior Bowl. If they had waited until February, your hands are really tied because at that point, it's Howie judging talent.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want any of that.
We don't want that.
Yeah, just leave it at that. You don't have to say anything else there. We don't want that.
But
timing is a bit weird on the 3rd anniversary. I don't know. I don't really think there's any coincidence there or anything more than a coincidence there.
I think Eagles fans like to live in the past. I think for a while the coaches did when it was Andy Reid. But I think that Lurie at this point, he knew he had to hire somebody. Now, we never got a chance to talk to Bieniemy.
I'm gonna have to do some serious research into Nick Sirianni's lineage and all. See if we have any distant cousins in Italy or anything like that. I'm Italian American. I don't know where the Sirianni lineage comes from and all. I'll do some research on that. We might have some cousins, involved somewhere. He's gonna love South Jersey and South Philly with all the great Italian restaurants that are out there. So I just saw a tweet about that, and I thought that was really funny.
No, that's fine. I just, we've already mentioned it, but the big thing is that if Sirianni's job is to kind of reinvigorate quarterbacks, this also, in my mind, just settled the quarterback dispute.
I think it's 110%.
Carson Wentz is the Philadelphia Eagles starting quarterback in 2021.
No, hold on. I don't think that's the correct phrase. Carson Wentz will go into week 1 as the starting quarterback. It'll be up to Howie if he also brings Hurts back as the second stringer. Or do they trade Jalen Hurts? Because honestly, Jalen Hurts didn't do enough to earn a starting job next year.
He didn't.
But some team that misses out on the top 3 quarterbacks might throw us a 2nd and 4th round pick for Jalen Hurts. Maybe. I don't know. A 2nd and a 5th. You might be able to get your pick back and something else, or even a conditional pick in a future draft. So
I don't see that happening this offseason. Down the line, if they feel Carson Wentz under Sirianni is the answer moving forward, then yes, they trade Jalen Hurts. But like we keep on saying, you need a decent backup quarterback in this league. And I would say Hurts didn't play bad, but he didn't play great, but he didn't play bad. So
there's plenty of backup quarterbacks that you could bring in here. You just have to pick the right ones. Nick Foles will be available, I think.
Let's talk Philip Rivers at retirement. He doesn't have to touch the field unless.
I forget what show. I was on a show a couple weeks ago talking about different candidates. That could be a backup here. You got Tyrod Taylor. You've got Cam Newton could be a backup quarterback.
RG3's got cut.
There's plenty of guys that could come in here.
You have it with the cap situation. I would say those guys are for a backup role are still going to command a few $1 million. Where Hurts, he's making pennies as a backup quarterback.
His rookie deal was 4 years, $6.5 million approximately. Yeah. So he's about $1.5 million a year. You could find probably a quality backup for about $1.5 million, $2 million.
Quality backups are probably at least $3 million.
We got Nate Sudfeld too.
We paid Chase Daniel
on the team.
We paid Chase Daniel $8 million freaking dollars to be a backup. He set the bar for veteran backups in this league.
I'm sure Sammy Sleeves would come out and earn $1 million or $2 million from us for a backup job too. No Sammy Sleeves.
No.
Flacco's a good choice. Flacco, another. He signed for only about $2 million last year to be a backup, and he filled in for the Jets pretty nicely when he was needed.
I also think, though, again, I keep using all I've seen about Sirianni is that he teaches the game pretty well, right? That's what as I'm scrolling through Twitter, as I'm reading up on him because I don't know enough about him, I just keep seeing teacher, positive, brings the things out of people. So as a teacher, I if I have a student who's struggling, I don't go, you suck, you're terrible, you're the worst, you're the worst, you're the worst. Fix this, fix this, fix this. I go, hey, you do this one thing really well to build that confidence in him. So there's definitely that level of, not beating somebody who's already down. Carson Wentz knows he's got a hill to climb back up. Jalen Hurts, as a rookie, played like a rookie. So I almost want to see, and I said this before, and both you guys, and everyone was like, oh, you can't bring them both back. Bring them both back. Bring them both back. Let Jalen Hurts develop into a tradable asset or the starting quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles because he has so far surpassed Carson Wentz. I think the biggest thing that the Eagles did was not hiring in-house because it gives everybody the fresh slate.
Right, but the same thing is, so if you bring both quarterbacks back, no matter what, so when you start a new season with a new coaching staff, there's some growing pains. It takes time to adjust to a new system. And I know people are going to say, well, it's similar to Frank Reich's system, which Frank Reich's system is kind of similar to Doug Peterson's system. They're going to draw parallels there. But there's still things to learn under a new system. If Sirianni is brought here to fix Carson Wentz, you can't – I'm not trying to make an excuse for Carson because it sucks to say it. His mental his mental level cannot handle having a young – rising quarterback as his backup with that threat to lose his job. And the fans, one bad game from Carson Wentz is going to jump all over it, bench Wentz, 97-5, 94-1. I'll bench Carson Wentz for, Jalen Hurts. That's all you're going to hear about. And then that's going to start the downfall of Carson Wentz again. So you get rid of Jalen Hurts if you're here to fix Carson Wentz because you're going to give at least 2 years with this coach and Carson Wentz. So there's no point in having Jalen Hurts here then.
Right. And I do understand that. But what I'm saying is that you also do still need to look at the fact that Carson Wentz does have whatever injury history does, and he is on a downward slope. So bringing in somebody who has shown flashes of promise, it makes sense to bring Jalen Hurts back and for him to develop both of them right now. Yes. And then to see, okay, Jalen Hurts does this better versus what Carson does. The other thing I think is going to happen, though, and Drew said it a second ago, Frank Reich runs the ball more. Frank Reich built probably, arguably, the best offensive line in football this year. Mm-hmm. So if the Eagles, if that's what sold the Eagles on Sirianni going from the line, starting with the trenches, that's what Andy Reid used to do and where he has so much success. He builds with the line first. Once you have a strong line, it opens up the run game, which takes the pressure off of Carson. It protects Carson, which takes the pressure off of Carson. It allows the offense to actually develop.
All right, so I just saw another tweet, and we got to remember last night Rob Maaddi was on the show, great guest on our show. Yeah. He said we're a 4-11 team. You are what your record says you are. So let's all also temper our expectations. Nick Sirianni has the potential maybe to be a great coach and turn this around, but not next year. I just saw a tweet from one of the 4th and John guys. A coach doesn't take this 4-11-1 team to 12-4.
No.
That's not there. There's too much work to be done. So we have to have realistic expectations for this coach, and not just you're going to have to give him time to redevelop Carson Wentz, redevelop the offensive line as you brought up from the Colts. Redevelop the run game focus, and then that's not even talking about the defense. Whoever's brought in here to coach the defense, that's another whole ball of wax there.
And on your point here, what Edward's saying here is who's on our O-line. Our O-line, even though there was 15 different variations of them, if you put them all back healthy, Mailata at left tackle, Samalu did a pretty decent job. If Kelsey returns, Brooks and Johnson return, if those are your 5, you have a team that you can run the ball behind. Now, you're going to have to, and that's what Drew is saying here. The offense and defensive line are really not that bad. You need to develop them. Your practice habits need to change so that they're not injured by Tuesday every week.
Real quick, Rob Maaddi just sent out a tweet, and as he said, answering your question last night about journalism, went on that long thing. He doesn't make comments till he gets sources. I mean, he just said he got a message from someone inside on the coaching search, and I don't have time to pull up the article and find it out. The person from the Eagles said, I quote, "Guy is a stud," referring to Nick Sirianni.
Right, and that's really big because, like you just said, I asked Rob Maaddi exactly last night. I said, "When do you air a story?" And he goes, "When I know I haven't, and I've checked through all these different things." So That means he talked to somebody inside, again, condition of anonymity because the team has not officially announced the hiring, which when we were having our group chat, I said, we can't announce yet. We can't go live yet. We can't go live yet until the Eagles announce. Who knows when the Eagles are going to announce? But
Exactly.
he's the coach of the team. I think you're going to see a team start in the trenches and then develop players again, which is something that has been lacking. The Eagles went with a win now mentality in 2017, which they did. They won now. And then they went with a win now mentality in 18 and 19, and development didn't happen. So when 2020 rolled around with an aging roster and a bunch of rookies who had never been developed, you saw a 4-win team. From everything I'm hearing about Sirianni, you are going to see a coach who puts value in developing players. And that's it.
But I'll say hopefully he's going to have a lot of say in what players he wants in here as far as the rookies. I'll say hopefully during those conversations they told him, hey, you're going to have some say, because we know the history over the past couple of years with Howie having final say. So I'll say he can try to develop all the players he wants. If it's not the right players, he only can do so much he can work with. And I would say, going back to the whole Carson Wentz point, I would say we're hoping he can turn Carson Wentz around. But all the stories we've been hearing from multiple outlets over this offseason is that the past couple of years that Carson Wentz has basically been uncoachable, unwilling to learn, and he still had that stubbornness. I would say you brought up before, Chip, about what he has done. We don't know whether it was Doug's play calling or if it was
right.
Chipped or Carson doing audibling into a play that he wants to try to make himself look better or look smarter from the team or whatever. So it's got to come down to one of those things.
Who was the last coach that had success with Carson Wentz? Major success. Frank Reich.
Yep.
A lot. I mean, I don't know. I think Doug Peterson gets shorted there a little bit. I think Doug Peterson had as much influence as Frank Reich did that year. But
I agree.
Frank Reich, he's going to tell Nick Sirianni everything he needs to know to help. Coaches don't want to give away secrets, but they help each other out. There's a brotherhood amongst the coaches and all. They want to see their disciples work out, their friends work out with their new jobs and all. So I have the confidence that Nick Sirianni will find the right way to connect with Carson so that
he has to.
Work. Right. He has to. Otherwise, in 2 years, both Sirianni and Carson will be gone.
Right, and just the level of excitement around this team. So players that were texting John Clark from NBC said, he's a great game planner, generally a great person, will be awesome in the locker room, has some fire to him. So the players seem interested. He also just happened to be in Florida on Monday with his family. And the Eagles put in a request. He went down on Tuesday and interviewed, and here we are sitting on Thursday with a head coach. So we've mentioned before, like when Andy Reid came in, not a named coach, wowed them so much they didn't let him leave. That seems to be what happened with Sirianni. Last week, we were not talking about Sirianni as the head coach. He was not one of our candidates.
Honestly, I didn't know who Sirianni was before he was mentioned as an head. I couldn't have told you who the offensive coordinator was with the Colts. All right, let's wrap this up. I wanted this to be a 20 minutes. We're pushing 30 minutes. Jeff, you get 2 minutes. Final thoughts.
I'll make it quick and easy. I would say let's not get overexcited. Let's not get over exaggerated. Let's wait and see how the process folds out. We have a long off season yet. It's only January. The season doesn't start until OTAs in April and May. So give the guy a chance before we jump all over him or jump overboard on how great of a coach or how bad of a coach he possibly is.
That's well said. Chip, your final thoughts.
Got to give him a chance. Got to give him a chance to develop what he wants to develop out of this team. Clearly, the team saw something in an interview 48 hours ago that said, stop. We're not going any more of this supermarket sweep action where we just knock everything into the cart. This is the guy. This is the guy. So we aren't in the room. We're just fans. Let's see what made him the guy.
Yep. I agree with all those things. I'll be super excited to see over the next 3 to 5 days who his coaching staff is filled out with. You might be able to read through the lines a little bit, whether they're Howie making decisions or he is making the decisions. I can't wait to hear him speak at his first press conference and take lots of notes on that, because we'll really figure out what kind of a coach he is. You can read between the lines, whether it's coached up remarks or his honest remarks. So like Jeff said, you can't get overly hyped. you can't get overly down on the guy yet. We just have to wait and see how it plays out the rest of the offseason, training camp, all OTAs, rookie mini camps, the draft. There's so much. 53-man roster predictions. There's so much that we have to wait and see before we, jump all over this guy and all. But I think it's a positive step forward, hopefully. At least maybe someday I'll be able to use the hashtag Wentz is almost elite again instead of elite.
Wow.
All right, this is the All About the Birds Network with breaking news. Nick Sirianni, the offense coordinator from the Colts, is now our head coach. He will be leading this team into the future, and we're kind of excited. We're kind of, ready to at least, give it some positive thoughts because why not? That's what we're here for. We'll be back with all our other shows. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, All About the Birds at AATBirds, powered by Last Out Media, Heat Ratio Sports, The Athletes Hub. Chip Keagy's next to me. Jeff Warner's on the bottom. Johnny was commenting from work, not doing any work, so I don't know why he wasn't on the show with us because he was obviously watching the whole thing from work. I'm Phil Stiefel. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for more breaking news as it happens to the entire AAT Birds Network, AATBirds.com. Go Birds.
Peace.
Go Birds.